Welcome to the Queen of AI, the podcast where feminine power meets cutting edge tech. I'm Lenore, entrepreneur, creator, and your go-to girl for building with confidence in a digital world. No fluff, just bold conversations, future forward tools, and real strategy. Ready to own your era? Let's go. Welcome back to the Queen of AI, the show where we talk to the women building the future with clarity, intelligence, and serious momentum. My guest today didn't wait for permission, funding, or a huge platform. She just started. At 22, she's built content that has reached millions, launched a real founder community, and is now working on tools powered by AI, all while sharing the process publicly. This conversation isn't just inspiring, it's tactical. So if you're trying to build from zero, this is your blueprint. Welcome to the show, Zoe Wu.
Thank you so much for having me, Lenore.
My pleasure, and I'm so happy to have you here. I have so many questions, so let's start with this one that has really been inspiring me. You started out very, very young. You were cold calling, sending messages, and you were in high school. So, how did you build that kind of work ethic, and how did you keep going even though the results weren't immediate?
Well, my mom always told me when we were young that, like whatever you do, just never give up. And honestly, I think that's the game of business.
Yeah.
Like Elon Musk always said, starting a company is like staring into the abyss and eating glass. So it really is about like how you
There's,
can be the last person standing. And so,
yeah,
just at a young age, that was like really drilled into me. Um,
yeah,
and so, like, going back to when I was in high school and starting all these cold DMs and like cold calling, there is nothing that gets you more accustomed to rejection than like cold
yeah,
outreach. That is, if you want rejection therapy, definitely do
yeah.
cold outreach. And so, yeah, I've kind of just been brought up with that mentality, and that's really what drove me forward.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is how we're raised, right? Also, how we are in school from a young age, what our parents tell us. And, sometimes when we're kids, we hate it. And then eventually we realize that it pays off. My parents are very similar as well. It was always
Yeah,
very, okay, results driven. And I think
yeah.
when you're a kid and you just want to play, it's like, oh, come on. But now when you're an adult and you have that work ethic in everything that you do, it pays forward for sure.
100%. Yeah.
Amazing. And so you've done a lot, right? You have the ethic, you have the practice, like you said, you have the rejection therapy. You were doing outreach for a long period of time, but then you switched to more kind of attraction. So posting, sharing stories, eventually going viral. So what changed when you committed to that, when you committed to consistent content, and what makes it actually convert, not just get views? Because I think that's something that a lot of people really want to know.
Yeah, 100%. So I think almost every content creator will tell you that like consistency is one of the most important
Yeah.
levers for growth, especially when it comes to like short form content.
Sure.
Um, when people see your face like show up over and over on their feed,
Right.
all of a sudden they've subconsciously positioned you differently in their mind. So for me, like I went from this scammy, like cold outreach stranger to someone they actually like know, like, and trust because
Right.
when you post like 30 times in a month, like that's one post every day. People just see
Mhm.
your face over and over.
Right.
Um, yeah, you're just automatically some kind of an expert in their mind.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's actually just what makes content convert. Like when we boil it
Mhm.
down, content is a funnel. It's like a place where you can warm up your leads, basically. Like the more
Right.
um, content you put out, the warmer your lead is going to get. Um,
Yeah.
but I think what most people get wrong when they struggle with conversions is that like they don't give the algorithm the right information so that it will show their content to the right person. So if you
Mhm.
want to reach like a specific type of person organically, you basically have to create the type of content they're already consuming. So I think that's
Mhm.
like a big factor in creating content that converts and doesn't just get views.
So how do you figure it out? Because I think, well, first of all, what you said is really, really important because that's something people don't think about. Content creation, showing up is psychological. Like a lot of times you have maybe some gurus coming online and they're giving you all of these rules, but like you said, it boils down to people trusting you and people understanding that you were consistently showing up for them. And even psychologically, when you're constantly giving people free value, they want to give back. So if they've been following you for a long time and you're giving them all this free value and you're their number one creator that they're learning things from that you've benefited their life, at the end of the day, if they have a row of people in front of them saying, I can help you, I have a paywall, but I can help you, they're going to give back to the one who has been helping them this whole time. So I think that's
Yeah.
a really, really important point. And something that you mentioned is kind of getting to them first, which is the number one part is, they see you a lot and that's important, but first you have to get in front of them. So how do
Yeah.
you do that? What is your process when you're sitting down and figuring out what content to start creating and actually creating the content itself?
Yeah. I think, it definitely varies for whatever niche you're in, who you're trying to reach. My posting process is like a big part of my audience is on Twitter.
Mm,
So
nice.
first of all, the first step I think I would say to people is like find out the type of content your audience consumes and like what platform they're consuming it on. So I'll go to Twitter and I'll look at like all the trending posts. I'll see what people are talking about. What's hot right now, and I'll specifically dissect their hooks of like what's catching people's attention, um, specifically for my audience. So I'll look at these top trending posts and um, I'll kind of pick out keywords that really
Mm,
caught my own attention. I'll note those down, and then with those keywords, I will basically start scripting myself, um,
mm,
something like a concept similar that I found valuable from the post or my take on whatever the trending topic is. Um,
nice.
so yeah, I would say like um, in order to establish like a good content process, you really have to do a lot of research. That's such a fundamental process of posting
Yeah.
content. If you don't know what's working, it's really really difficult to um, like test a bunch of ideas
Yeah.
just to see which one sticks. And it's very time consuming. So definitely
Right.
research is key. And then
Mhm.
for scripting, um, a big part of scripting. So when we think of virality, it's like, what do all viral videos have in common? Well, the one thing they have in common is that the viewer always stays till the end of the video,
Mhm.
right? Every viral video, people are always watching till the end. So when you're scripting yourself, you should think, how can I get the viewer to stay for just maybe like a second longer? How can I get them to watch the video till the end? Because that's going to really, really boost your chances of going viral.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I think one more point as well is like don't underestimate the power of editing. So
Yeah.
in like a video, there's like four hooks. Say, you have the visual hook, which is
Mhm.
a big part of that goes to editing. You have like your verbal hook, and you also have a hook that's like in your caption. Before people scroll, sometimes they'll look at your caption and it will
Right.
keep them hooked. So yeah, that would be my full posting process.
Okay, you just dropped gold. I think a lot of people like don't know any of that. So guys, if you're listening, take notes for real. I mean, a lot of times people show up on social media and they're saying, if you're not going viral, it's because you're not trying hard enough or you're not posting enough. And it's bullshit, right? Like, I mean, we're not like
Yeah,
you can,
there's a
there's
lot of
there's there's so much hard work that people put into whatever, like, there's a lot of hard workers in the world, whatever your job is, and that they never see it pay off. And the same thing with social media, because it's
Mhm.
not about the work you put in, it's how you do it. and how analytically you think about it. Like you said, it's a data based, a data driven decision. It's not, okay, I feel like doing this today, so I'm going to, do a little dance in front of the, I mean, we love the dance videos, right? But they also have a process. They saw that that dance worked and they practiced. So I think, what you said is, like I said, it's gold. Um, it's marketing. It needs to be data driven, and the hook thing as well, because like who knows, maybe they're watching on silent, so they're going to look at the caption, right? Or, maybe the first thing they just had like TikTok on their phone while they're doing other things, and then they see this hook pop up on their phone and now they're hooked, right? So quite literally it's called hook for a reason. So I think people really underestimate this. And I hope you guys are taking notes because this can really change the game for you. So thank you, Zoe. These are amazing tips. Um, you're obviously very talented, but you didn't stick to social as well, right? Which is one of the reasons you're on here. It's something that I want to talk to you about, have everyone gather, intel from. You took from social your experience with people and marketing, et cetera, and then you turn that into a business, which is really cool. So you built a space for your audience, and now they're learning from you. I want to know about this. I want to know how it works. Like, how did you launch the group? What have you learned about creating a space that founders actually want to show up in?
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting story behind my school group. It wasn't like something that I ever like really thought about launching.
Right.
But one day someone just commented on one of my videos and they're like, hey, you should start a group for founders where, people can receive feedback and just connect with each other. Um, yeah, it seemed like a real demand where a lot of people were also trying to find similar um, like people in their space who they could potentially partner up with,
Yeah.
who they could, uh, you know, who could potentially be their co-founder, basically.
Right.
And so, yeah, I found a business partner who knew the inner workings of school, and we decided to launch this group.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so that was really how it started, and I think
It's
what I've learned
amazing.
from school. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, it's amazing that it started from one comment. I mean, you've probably changed lives with your group, and if the person hadn't commented, maybe it wouldn't have even happened.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think I would have had had the idea or had the initiative to just ever start it. Um,
Yeah, and sometimes like I think you definitely have the initiative. I mean, it's who you are, right? You're doing all these projects, products, but the idea is a lot of times, the idea doesn't come from nowhere for anything, I mean, a lot of times it's a billboard we see or a comment someone makes to us in person or a comment on social media. So that's how a lot of amazing products are made, which is, what school is. So, can you tell us a little bit more about what goes into school? Like, um, when people join, for example, what are they getting out of this group besides like the founder networking, et cetera? I mean, how does it work? Is there a chat? Do you have calls? Is there a paywall for people who are interested in joining?
for sure, yeah. So every month we'll do what's called like a demo day. We'll do live product demos over Zoom, and there'll be one presenter every month just showing
Nice,
us, giving us their elevator pitch on their product, basically.
nice,
And then at the end, they'll have like 15 minutes of just live feedback from other founders, um, to give them like um, gentle criticisms or like where they can
right.
improve, or if they have any like new ideas for features for the product. So yeah, like monthly calls is one thing we do. Another thing we do is it's called Successful 60. It's a 60-day challenge where the person will commit to 15 minutes of learning something new, 15 minutes, or sorry, 30 minutes of exercise, um, and then another 15 minutes of working on their own project. So we do like very, very low, um,
Right,
basically very low barrier to entry to start so that
right.
habits can be formed over time.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I think that's basically everything that's in our school group.
It's really, I mean, you've built a community, which is really important, especially as an entrepreneur, as a founder. A lot of people feel maybe in their community just around them, they don't necessarily have what they need. Um, it's really hard to find people just outside the door that have the same mindset, the same goals, the same ambition. And so you've put all those people in one room and they're helping each other thrive, which I think is a really cool thing. How does it work if someone wants to join? Do they have to apply? Is there a monthly fee?
Yeah, so it's just $5 a month right now. We
Wow.
just kind of wanted to make it accessible for everyone.
Yeah,
So yeah, anyone can join.
that's awesome. That's really, yeah, very impressive that, you're very people forward and putting the interests of other founders first. It's very selfless. I think that's very cool. And for everyone listening, I mean, it's the price of a latte, so I don't know what you're waiting for. It's very cool, Zoe. Awesome. Nice. Perfect. So we've covered, you've done the social media, you've done this group, and now, from what I understand, you're working on a tech product, right?
Yeah. So this is really recent, actually. Just like 2 months ago, I connected with some devs, and they were like, we should start some sort of AI app lab where,
Mm,
because the barrier to entry for like creating a product, just putting something out there with AI is so low nowadays. You just throw up a
mm.
prompt on Lovable and you can
Yeah.
get an MVP in like in like 10 minutes or something,
Yeah.
if you do it right. So yeah, I don't know if you know about the brand Deciem, but they're basically the parent company of The Ordinary, and that's what they did.
Mm,
They were essentially just like a brand lab. They just kept launching brand after brand, and The
amazing.
Ordinary was like their 11th launched brand, which was a huge hit. So basically, we took inspiration from Deciem, and we're like, why don't we just do the same thing with AI apps? Let's just keep testing. Let's build in public. So
Right.
yeah, it's AI is just such a big opportunity right now.
Right.
Um, it's it's a no-brainer for us to try and get in.
No, I mean, like you said, we're living in an AI revolution. I think this is the time.
Yeah,
I always say like it's the Renaissance and it's the Enlightenment, but AI version. I mean, we've had revolutions throughout time, the Industrial Revolution. So it's like hello, like that's now for us, and we have the ability to step in. I mean, like you said, you just go on Lovable or a website or whatever and type in what you need, whether you're building an app or a website or art or anything, you could create anything now. So and I think it's really helping creative people too who maybe didn't have the outlet as much before. They had the ideas but not the outlet. There was that
mm-hmm.
huge barrier, like you said, they couldn't make an MVP in a minute like they can now. So really cool that you guys are doing that. Very inspiring. You have had quite a journey. So, like, you started with the calls and then the creating, and there's a lot going on here. You're obviously you have a lot of initiative, you have a lot of creativity, but it is a lot of different kinds of fields. So, what advice would you give for people who maybe they're new, like you were new when you first started, and they want to jump into building tech, but they don't have that experience? What advice would you give to them?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would say for anyone trying to get in, I think um, they should know that you either need like the right skills or you need to
Hmm.
find someone who has the necessary skills for what you want to build. Um,
Hmm.
Also, that like speed is everything in this landscape.
Hmm.
You really do have to test and fail fast because there's
Yeah.
just so many people hopping onto it. Um,
Right.
yeah, and I just remember being shocked to find out how many like new advancements in tech were coming out every single week. So
Yeah.
if you don't test fast, like you're just gonna get left in the dust.
Yeah. So move fast and find someone with the skills that you need.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Amazing. And well, you've done that. You've moved fast. But it's not magic. You have amazing methods. So what do you want people listening to this podcast episode to take away if they feel maybe they're hearing the word move fast, but they're stuck. They're scared to start because they feel like, well, I have nothing to do with tech. I'm a teacher, I'm an artist, whatever.
Right.
What would you tell people who feel like they want it but they don't feel ready?
Right. I know, like, it sounds really generic, but I think you're really never going to feel ready. Um, and if you wait, you'll probably never start. So, I heard a quote from someone on YouTube once that said, like, if you feel imposter syndrome, if you feel stuck, that it's actually exactly where you should be, exactly where
Hmm.
you need to be, because it means you're getting out of your comfort zone, right?
Yeah,
Like anytime you're in your comfort zone, you won't feel challenged.
right.
You're not gonna feel unqualified for anything. But when you step out, that's when you feel the challenge. That's when you
Yeah,
feel the imposter syndrome, um, the unworthiness to maybe start. So I just encourage people, like, just step out, take that first step, even if you do feel unready, despite being even unqualified. Like you're gonna get there eventually. You're gonna learn along the way. Just got
yeah.
to take that first step.
I love that. Yeah, and I mean, it's true because no one is born ready. Like no one is just
Yeah,
comes out of the womb with a set of skills, to be great.
yeah,
So I
totally.
mean, yeah, you have to start somewhere, right? And I mean, if you look at, I mean, for example, me personally, I love like Layla Hormozy. Like I think she's amazing, and
Oh my
you know,
gosh, yeah.
right?
I
Like
love
yeah,
her too.
yeah,
She's so good.
she's so cool. And but when she started, like she has this whole long backstory that has nothing to do with where she is now. It was actually the complete opposite. So um, I think that a lot of times, like it's called imposter syndrome, right? Like it's in our head. And we just have to step back and realize, like you said, number one, it's a sign you're getting out of your comfort zone, which is great because otherwise, what are we here for? And number
Mhm.
two, like you have to start somewhere and everyone who succeeded at one point in time failed a lot of times before that. Like every success story you look at, they failed so many times. So it's like, what are you scared of? Like like I saw a quote where it was like, and I get it too. I'm not I don't want people to feel like they're not valid. I was very scared when I started, but I'm pushing you guys because I was scared when I started, but I got here, and I don't have that fancy background either. So I saw a quote, and this is what pushed me the most more than anything. And it was you know, like you can't judge me for failing when only failed because I started, and it's like
Mhm.
if you don't ever start, you're never gonna fail. And fine, you're gonna look great because you're not failing, but you also didn't start. And maybe all of your dreams are just gonna sit in the dust forever because you were too scared to fail. I'm too scared to let the dust thing happen more than I am a failure.
Mhm.
You know? Because we
Yeah.
only live once, so it's like at the end of the day, what really matters is if you have something like deep down pulling at you, to not let it stay in the dust because letting it stay in the dust is what you're going to regret. It's not looking dumb for 5 minutes until you get to the point where you want to get. And I looked dumb for 5 years. It took me a long time to get to where I am. But now
Wow.
I'm where I am and I'm really happy. If I would have left it in the dust, I might be miserable right now. I wouldn't have looked dumb, but I also wouldn't be happy. So you have to choose your heart, right? There's always going to be life is not easy either way, but you choose your heart, you go with it, and I think eventually it's really worth it.
Yeah. I love everything you just said.
You got me on like a tangent.
So true though.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, Zoe, you clearly inspired me, and I know you're going to inspire everyone listening to this podcast. Your story is amazing. You've showed up really transparently and tactically. I feel like we took away not only an inspiring story, but actual information that we can apply in our daily life and our businesses. And I know people are going to listen to this and feel the courage and have the tools to actually use their idea, grab it, and run with it. I want people to still follow along with you because I know that you're just going to keep dropping gems on your Instagram, wherever you're posting. So plug yourself. Where can people find you? How can they stay in touch?
Yeah, and thank you so much for your kind words, Leonard. That really means a lot. Yeah, I guess people can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, all on under the same username, Zoe Wu underscore. Um, yeah, that's where I'll be.
Okay, amazing. Well, I'll drop it as well in, the description of the episode and the caption on Instagram so you guys have the access as well. And for those of you listening, for real, it's okay to be scared, but go for it because, we really do only have one life. And I know it sounds cheesy, but it's true. So if you want to actually live to the fullest, sometimes you have to fail, but the happiness of the other side is worth it. So this is your permission slip to start messy, build now, and refine later. And we'll see you next week on the Queen of AI.